Welcome to the Brendan G podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about sleep aids and the dangers of sleep aids. And in particular, if you've never heard about melatonin, what's the danger of a sleep aid that contains melatonin? Joining with me today is Joe. He's my producer and my researcher. He's going to be asking some questions, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. Thanks. Go right ahead.
Yeah, so I guess the first question, what is melatonin? I want to go into that.
Yeah, right. So melatonin is a hormone that helps us fall asleep. And oftentimes when people are suffering from insomnia, obviously the body is not producing enough melatonin. There could be other contributing factors as well. You've got an intense amount of stress. Your midbrain is just hyperactive. Maybe you're making enough melatonin, but that's overriding it. But for the most part, in general, people are suffering from low amounts of melatonin. So they try to substitute and try and get a good night's sleep by going ahead and putting that into their system. And that is a no-no.
Okay. Now, what's the main effect of melatonin, right? I mean, it does help you sleep, but does it have other effects on your body other than just because it's a hormone, right? Maybe there's other
Yeah, it's a
causes we don't know
hormone. It's
about.
actually, yeah, it's a good question. It's also an antioxidant. So there's a lot of benefits to having melatonin in the body. The problem, and one of the reasons why I say there's a danger in taking it externally, is that there's a reason why the body's not making it. And most people, when they start to supplement with melatonin, they might get a few good nights sleep. Maybe they'll get a good night's sleep for a few weeks, and then it'll stop working. And then it will run in the reverse, and they'll become addicted to it. And, so we have to figure out, why is that happening? So your body is regulating that hormone. This is why I really do not I'm okay with putting precursors of hormones into the body, but not the actual hormone. The reason you don't put this particular hormone in your body is because there's a reason why the body is regulating it at the rate that it is. If you say put 5 milligrams of melatonin, and it actually doesn't matter what the amount is, but it's typically at very low amounts, your body will recognize an external source and it will re-regulate it, and your body will stop making it entirely. And now you're back to square one. Now you're not making any melatonin, and you are now addicted to a product. And in order for you to get any night's sleep, you have to be taking a sleep product. So that is what we're trying to avoid.
Okay. So what would some alternatives be? Diet, exercise, stuff like that. What are some, you know, uh, better solutions if you're having trouble sleeping or with
Yeah.
melatonin?
Yeah. And yeah, that's definitely diet and exercise. I mean, that goes without question. That's going to help you, of course. It's interesting as you get older. Okay. So like once you cross like the 30-35 barrier, if you work out before you go to bed, it actually helps you go to sleep. As opposed to when you're younger, you don't want to be hyperactive before you go to bed because it keeps you alert and awake. That's just, typical metabolism. As you age, things shift. But yeah, diet's a big part of it. If your gut health is off, that's huge. So the connection between being able to sleep and gut health, let's talk about that for a second, because that's really important. So what most people don't understand is 80% of the serotonin. Now, again, I'm switching hormones here. Like 80% of the serotonin that is in your body is produced by bacteria. It's not part of your diet. You're not producing it. It's bacteria. And these are really only produced by friendly bacteria, and they exist in your digestive tract. Okay, that's really important. So if your digestive tract is unhealthy, that's going to reduce the amount of serotonin. Why does that matter? Serotonin is the precursor for melatonin. So that's directly going to impact the amount of melatonin in your body, right? So you have to have good gut health in order to have a good night's sleep. That's key. Reducing stress, that's key. A lot of times when we have intense amounts of stress, there's major B vitamins that end up getting depleted. Magnesium, that's something that you should, and that's one of the major deficiencies in most people. So getting the right amount of magnesium in your body, making sure your B vitamins are right, making sure that your gut health is right, making sure you're getting exercise and you're your diet is right. Absolutely important. And then there's a psychological behavioral issue that should be addressed too, which is making sure that there's a regimen to going to bed. You're doing the same things at the same time. You are setting your brain psychologically up for going to bed, and staying away from screens at least a half hour before going to bed is really important. That blue light on your monitor is affecting your hormones, and of course, it's the melatonin that it's affecting. So you got to stop watching that right before you go to bed, and that will help. That and taking supplements that have those things in there, adaptogenic herbs, magnesium, B vitamins. That's going to be very helpful in order for you to get a good night's rest.
I feel like you're talking to me about the screens thing.
I'm talking to a lot of people on that, myself included. I'm no saint in that department. So,
well, what about you mentioned other supplements? What about like a multivitamin? I mean, they have like everything in there. Would those have at least some of those like supplements you might need?
Yes, but typically multivitamins. I mean, the mass consumer multivitamin, like something that you pick up at like a Walmart, that stuff is complete junk, and that's not going to have what you need in there. A lot of good multivitamins will have magnesium and B vitamins in there. What you want to look for whenever you look for a supplement, whenever you're shopping for a supplement, in this case, you want to have B12 in there. A lot of times, not in high amounts because it can overly energize you, but you want to have B1, B5, and B12. B12 needs to be in the methylated form just in case you can't properly methylate. And that's a whole different topic that we can get into, and we should get into at some point very soon. But for those people who have the MTHFR gene mutation, those people don't methylate properly. You can have all the B12 in your body you want, but it won't be in the active form. And then the second thing you want to look for in a supplement is you want to make sure that it's clean. So you take a look at the other ingredients in there and make sure that there's nothing in there that's suspicious or would come under that category of being unclean and toxic.
Well, I guess a follow-up is what would be a couple examples? Could you give us a few examples of what would be like a suspicious or unclean potential ingredient? I mean, not a whole list,
Yep.
but if a couple off the top of your head.
Yeah, I mean, one right off the top of my head would be magnesium stearate. So that's one that we don't have in any of our supplements because studies have shown that it decreases or suppresses the immune system. Specifically, it reduces the T cell count circulating. So that's one of the things we definitely stay away from. But it's not the only thing. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good overview of why sleep aids are dangerous, what to stay away from, staying away from melatonin in particular, and how to choose a good supplement in addition to all of these other things to help get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, no, I think that's very helpful. I do have one more quick question I think might be beneficial. What about like Nyquil cold medicine, like the nighttime cold medicine, stuff like that, right? They always have like the moon on there. Like, do those usually have melatonin in them? And are those could those be an issue as well?
Yeah, so I mean, they are pharmaceutical drugs. They might be OTC, but they're pharmaceutical drugs. They are very effective. They do put you to sleep. There's no doubt about that. But they also have a lot of harmful stuff in there as well. They're not really designed for sleep. They have artificial colors and artificial flavorings in there. Those are typically neurotoxins. So it's not something that you want to lean on as a go-to often. Yeah, I totally understand you want to pick out something when you end up getting sick. I get that. There are a lot of really good alternatives in the supplement space that don't have all of those toxins in there. Yeah, so I guess the short of it is, yes, it can be used. No, it's not a good alternative. And no, it does not contain melatonin.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure. I was very curious, right? Like, how is it nighttime? What are they putting? Like some of the other sleep aids, do have it in there. So, yeah, I think that's all I got for questions for today. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
No, I think we covered everything. Excellent. So that's it for sleep aids. Stay away from melatonin if you can.